if true, this changes everything. The Denver Broncos have no questions asked their biggest game of their season coming up next week as they face a divisional opponent in the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that has dominated the AFC West over the last few years, and a team that, quite frankly, the Broncos have struggled against over the last few years. And even though the Broncos are 8-2, have the best record in the NFL as it stands right now, some people are saying that they're on fraud watch and that they're probably not going to be able to handle a team like Kansas City who's healthy and is going to be fresh off of a bye week. But there's an interesting development surrounding the Denver Broncos and surrounding their most recent win against the Las Vegas Raiders. And if it's true, it completely changes the focus and the conversation around this game, and it puts the Denver Broncos in a position to have a very strong performance against a divisional opponent. How's it going, everybody? Welcome into Broncos Digest. It's my favorite time of the year. It's Chiefs Hate Week. Oh, I'm so excited. Just nothing better than getting to get excited to play against a team that I hate more than all the other teams in the NFL. Is by far my least favorite team in the league. Very, very against anything that has any positivity connected to the Kansas City Chiefs. And so I'm thrilled for the fact that we're officially kicking off Chiefs Hate Week as the Broncos gear up to face them for the first game of the two that they'll play during this season. Now, before we dive into the conversation around the Chiefs game and how it ties into an interesting development with the Raiders game, I want to remind you guys to make sure that you are subscribed to Broncos Digest. At about 630 subscribers right now, we're growing super fast. We're getting bigger and bigger every day. We need you guys to help us in doing so. Obviously, next goal right now is to get to 700 subscribers. Our long-term goal is to make it to 1,000 subscribers. And in honor of Chiefs Hate Week, I need to bring something to your guys' attention. And it's got me pretty rattled. I don't know about you guys, but take a look at this. Chiefs Digest, our competitors, our rivals in this game right now. This channel has 1,400 subscribers. They have over double the subscribers that we have here at Broncos Digest. Broncos Country, are we really going to let that be the case? I'm going to put this up again right here. What are we doing? They have over double the subscribers. Are we really going to let Chiefs fans outdo us in this realm? I don't think so. So we better get on the subscriber count right now. We got to get ahead. We got to try to catch up to Chiefs Digest as much as we can because they're almost as new as us. They only have 20 more episodes on their channel than we do. And we got to catch up. We got to pick up the slack. So if you want to get ahead of Chiefs Digest and if you want to show them who the real deal is, let's see it, Broncos Country. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys' support more than you know. Without further ado, let's dive into this conversation and this interesting development around the fact that the Broncos are set to face a very tough divisional game next week. Arguably what people are saying is their biggest game of the season. But like I said, there's an interesting development in the game against the Raiders that I think is really interesting. So the Broncos narrowly edged out the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's be real. It was an ugly game. It was not pretty. They could not get anything going offensively. The numbers were really low. It was a stressful game, and it was not a pretty game. With that said, I've heard some conversations and I've heard some things in the media that are interesting. And I'm not saying I 100% agree with them, but I'm definitely here to raise the conversation and make a point that it could be somewhat of the situation that's going on. So put yourself in the shoes of the Broncos. They've got back-to-back games, one of them on primetime against two divisional opponents. The Raiders are struggling this year. They have a significantly swayed losing record. They have not been able to beat many opponents. And the Broncos have had a really strong season. They've been handling most of their opponents with ease. They've obviously won a few close one-score games, but good teams win games when they're close and they find a way to get it done. And that's what they did against the Raiders. Now, here's this interesting development and this interesting scenario that I think could be playing a role in these next few games here. The Broncos probably knew that it would take a lot for them to lose to the Raiders. And they didn't lose to the Raiders. So this would be confirmed, obviously, because they won against the Raiders. They probably knew that it would take a lot for them to lose against the Raiders, but it wouldn't take a ton for them to beat the Raiders. So what I'm hearing and what I'm proposing is, what if the Broncos laid out the most by-the-book, predictable, simple, easy to read, easy to defend offense that they could possibly do? Easy screen plays, easy play action passes, easy plays from the pocket. Bo Nix bailing out and throwing balls right at the line of scrimmage. What if they played a style of football to where they got the win, they made it happen, but it wasn't pretty because it gives Kansas City nothing to look at film. Nothing. They can't gain anything from watching that game as far as how to approach this Broncos team and how to beat their offense because the offense didn't do anything. And so if and when next week the Broncos play the Chiefs and they bring out an offense like they did against the Cowboys, which we know they're capable of doing, it's going to hit them like a truck. They're going to have no idea what happened. And so what if there's a world where the Broncos knew they could beat the Raiders with simple, by-the-book, predictable football, and they did just that in order to shake things up and basically hit the Chiefs from behind when they didn't see it coming in this game next week? I think it's a very possible thing, and I think it is a 100% viable option to consider. I mean, you look at the box score last week. Bo Nix was 16 for 28 with only 150 yards passing. He only had one passing touchdown. It was only Broncos touchdown of the game. And then you look at J.K. Dobbins. He had 18 carries for 77 yards, but he didn't score a touchdown. Only 9 yards, and Bo Nix had -2 rushing yards. The offense was bleak. It was not there. Obviously, the defense is continuing to win us games, but the offense, from a visual outsider perspective standpoint, was very lackluster. It was very disappointing. But that's where this, potential situation comes in which maybe the Broncos played a simpler offense to keep energy high, not like energy in the game. I'm talking like physical energy and tiredness in order to be rested for next week. Maybe this was all part of the plan to make sure that they're even more equipped to beat a team like Kansas City and really cement their dominance in the NFL this coming week. All right, look at this tweet on the screen here. That is my X. That is my account. If you don't follow me, I would love if you could give my X account a follow. You see the tag there at MWR Sports. This is earlier today. I tweeted this out. It's my opinion, and I think it ties perfectly into what we're talking about right now. The Bills got dominated by a 2-7 Miami Dolphins team that is very poor this season. And the Bills got worked by them. The Bills getting crushed by Miami makes me think that the Broncos could have gotten blown out by the Raiders and lost this ugly game that they just lost. They could have let the game slip away, and they could have fallen behind way more than one touchdown. But they didn't. They found a way to get it done. They found a way to win. And all these people saying that the Broncos are a fraudulent team, that is not fraudulent. That is how teams win in this league. And it was the exact same trend as the Broncos in 2015. They got ugly wins, but they found a way to get it done, and they played a complete game on both sides of the ball. The defense obviously prioritized winning that game, and it was the reason the Broncos got that win. But the fact that they were able to win the game shows that they're not fraudulent, and it also shows that it would be a much bigger issue if the Broncos lost to the Raiders, but they didn't, and I think that even more so supports and entertains the potential that this could have just been a way to get a win, not give the Chiefs much to work with, and here they come next week. It's going to be no idea. Nobody knew what happened for the Kansas City Chiefs. One more time, go ahead and give me a follow on X. Would really appreciate it if you guys would, obviously go over there and do that. It would be awesome. But moving on anyways, the Broncos, people are saying that they're on fraud watch. Broncos, Patriots, Colts all set at 8-2. 7-game win streak for both Denver and New England. They are among the best team in the league. And I don't think that there's any room to say that the Broncos are on fraud watch because they're winning these games and they're getting it done. Last year, and I saw this in the media as well earlier today, and I think it's so true. Everybody was saying, the Chiefs lost like over half their games were one-score games that they won. They could be 2-11 if they had these games go the other way. But nobody was saying the Chiefs were frauds. It was all, happy smiles and flowers and sunshine in Kansas City because the Chiefs were dominating and they were undefeated for the longest time last season. But when the Broncos do it, it's, oh, Bo Nix is a fraud. Oh, Sean Payton's a terrible coach. I'm not saying that they haven't played some perfect games. I'm not saying that their game has been very good all year. They've had some rough patches, that's for sure. But they are finding ways to win, and that is all that matters in the NFL. And they have the remainder of the season to clean things out and shake things up and get things going by the time the playoffs come around. And I think there's a chance they can really make a run. And I mean, a lot of people are saying they don't believe in Bo Nix. I agree with this here. I still believe that he is going to find the answer and he's going to continue to be one of the best quarterbacks in Broncos history over these next few years. And he's going to really help Denver propel themselves to stuff they haven't done since 2015, which is obviously really exciting stuff. I thought this was a pretty great comment to cap things off on Chiefs Hate Week. The Broncos don't have a good enough quarterback to beat the Chiefs. That team's coming off a bye week, pissed off and as healthy as they've been all season. I don't want to hear it. We've seen Bo Nix put up unreal numbers this season. We've seen him beat the Giants in the fourth quarter. We've seen him absolutely dominate the Dallas Cowboys. I have full faith that this Broncos team is going to come out and put the best performance that they can against the Chiefs. And I said this a few days ago, and I think that it may very well be true. Another theory that I have about all this, I think that the Broncos narrowly edging out the Raiders and having a tough game that wasn't exactly pretty, but they got it done. I think it's just what they needed to fire and come out guns a-blazing against the Kansas City Chiefs. Very exciting stuff here on Broncos Digest. One more time, happy Chiefs Hate Week. It's the best week of the year for the Denver Broncos. We'll be keeping you updated with all things Broncos football throughout the week leading up to the game against the Chiefs. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure that you're helping us try to climb up to this competition here. We can't have Chiefs Digest beating us. That is unacceptable. So make sure that you're hitting that free subscribe button, joining the best possible source for Broncos news here on YouTube, and you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your football Sunday if you're watching this on Monday. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Enjoy your week. Make it the best day that you can, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.